Hi everybody, today we have the Garmin Montana 650 and we have the Garmin nuvi 3597 LMT HD. What we're going to do is take a look at how Topo Maps display in each of these units and how they compare. Now, the vast majority of the time you are going to be using Topo Maps on a handheld device as opposed to a nuvi, but you can load them onto a nuvi. You're just going to lose some features by doing it. So we're just going to compare and see how they actually look side by side. I have three different sets of topo maps that I'm going to show you in this video. We're going to take a look at US 24K topo maps, Canada topo maps, and our first example, which is US 100K topo maps. I have the same waypoint saved on each of these devices, so we're going to be zooming in on the exact same region. I have mapping detail on both devices turned all the way up. And I've also turned off the preloaded City Navigator mapping on the 3597 just to keep the playing field as level as possible. Just look at those topo maps. So right now we are at the 12-mile zoom level on both of these. Let's zoom in once and see how that picture changes. Right away at the 8-mile level, you can see that there's quite a bit more detail on the Montana than there is on the nuvi. You have all of these contour lines, these elevations. The 3597 display looks pretty much the way that it did before. Let's zoom in again to the 5-mile level. Now we're starting to get some of those contour lines on the 3597, but we get a lot more on the Montana. We can also get those mountain ranges on here as well. And this cluster of points of interest, we don't have those down here on the 3597. Here it is at the 3-mile zoom level, starting to get more and more contour lines on the 3597, but we don't have any elevation markers yet. That's what those numbers are up here. Here are these two maps at the 2-mile zoom level. Here it is at 1.2 miles, 0.8 miles, and here we finally have these elevation markers on the 3597. We didn't have any until this point. Here they are at 0.5 miles, 0.3 miles, 0.2 miles, 800 feet, 500 feet, and 300 feet. We could zoom in a little further if we wanted to, but we're going to stop here and move on to our next map set. Let's take a look at the US 24K topo maps. Again, we're going to be zooming in on the exact same waypoint on each of these devices with the detail turned all the way up. And right away, at the 8-mile zoom level, lots more information on the Montana. You have all those elevation markers, the mountains, the contour lines. So let's zoom in a little bit, see what we can get out of the 3597. Here it is at the 5-mile zoom level. Don't really have anything yet down here. Let's move on to the 3-mile zoom level. Now we're getting some of these contour lines here on the 24K mapping. No elevation markers quite yet. Here is 2 miles. 1.2 miles, 0.8 miles, and now we have these elevation markers showing up. That was the same point that we got it on the 100K maps as well, at the 0.8 mile zoom level. Here it is at 0.5 miles, 0.3 miles, 0.2 miles, 800 feet, 500 feet, and 300 feet. I've loaded on a portion of Canadian topo maps that cover the mountains just to the west of Calgary. So again, the Montana 650, nuvi 3597, the Montana again right away showing lots more detail than the 3597 at the 12-mile zoom level. So we'll go in to the 8-mile zoom level. And now we'll take a look at the 5-mile zoom level. You might notice that these Canadian topo maps do take a little bit longer to draw on the Montana than the US topo maps did. Here is the 3-mile zoom level, and now we're getting all these contour lines down here on the 3597. We've had those on the Montana already. Here's the 2-mile zoom level. 1.2 miles, 0.8 miles, 0.5 miles, 0.3 miles, 0.2 miles, 800 feet, 500 feet, and 300 feet. So that is a quick comparison of how Garmin Topo Maps display on both a handheld outdoor GPS and a Garmin nuvi.